Are you afraid of the dark? If not, you probably were as a child. Go ahead, admit it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a common fear. The terror of the night is deeply rooted in the human psyche. It's a primal fear, an instinct necessary for survival. Even when there is no immediate danger, even when we know we are perfectly safe, we still jump at every little noise and hide under the covers so that whatever lurks in the shadows can't see us. Yes, many of us are afraid of the dark. You may very well be one of them. But have you ever considered that this fear might be meaningless? I'll let you in on a little secret. When he was alone in the apartment, he would close all the blinds and turn off the lights. Given his lifelong fear of the dark, this was more than a little bizarre. You're his best friend, Amber, Savannah pleaded. You probably know him better than me. What should I do? I bit my lip, confused and not knowing what to make of the situation. Have you ever tried talking to him about it? Of course, but he just denies there being anything wrong. At first, I thought he was just stressed from school and work, plus moving into a new place, but I think it might be more serious than that. That is strange, I admitted, but I'm sure there's a logical explanation. I don't know, Amber. Why won't he tell me what's wrong? He knows I love him. He probably doesn't want to burden you, I soothed. Look, let me talk to him. Maybe I can help. Thank you, Amber. There was a muffled curse. Then, I'm late for class. I'll talk to you later. She hung up. I was also late for class, so I left my own apartment, which I shared with 3 other girls, and burned rubber on the 5-minute drive to the college. I only had morning classes that day, so I texted David and asked him if he'd meet me for lunch at our favourite place. He agreed. When I saw him, I was shocked. It had only been about 4 days since I'd last seen him in person, but the change was shocking. He looked sickly pale, his normal bright eyes muted, dull, and framed in thick, dark rings. His hair was disheveled, and his whole body vibrated as if he had an electric current running beneath his skin. "Hi, Amber," he stammered, forcing a painful grin. "How are you doing?" "David, you look awful." "David, you look awful. Call me a bitch, but I've never been the type to mince words. Yeah, I know. I haven't been sleeping well. I think I've developed insomnia from staying up all night studying. I'm going to visit my doctor this weekend and see if I can get some sleeping pills." We got seated and ordered our food, and I told him what Savannah had said. "She's worried about you." "She worries too much," he said, flicking his hand dismissively. "Don't get me wrong, I love that girl more than I love myself, but it would do her some good to loosen up a little. David, if something is wrong, you can tell me. You know I'm always here for you." "Amber." "David," I countered, my voice stern. I was only a couple of months older than him, but David looked up to me, and when I got stern with him, he shaped up immediately. "Don't lie to me. If you don't speak now, I'll have to resort to more underhanded methods." He winced, then sighed, scrubbing at his face with his hands. "Promise you won't laugh or call me crazy. Depends on what you try to tell me. I might not be able to help it. Can you at least try?" I smiled. "Of course." He sighed again, then looked me dead in the eye and said, "Something is haunting me." Normally, I would have scoffed, but he looked genuinely spoken, and that worried me. "What? Something's haunting you?" "Yeah." He took a sip of his water and stared into the glass. "It only comes during the day, and when there's a lot of light. This thing, whatever it is, well, I guess it can't see in the dark, because it can find me so easily. So I'm safest at night. I mean, it still hangs around, but it can't get to me. I won't lie, I felt like I had bugs crawling under my skin." "Is it with you now?" He glanced over his shoulder, nervous and shaking. "I don't see it, but it's here." The waitress brought our food, but I wasn't sure I could eat. "David, are you on drugs?" I knew he had experimented with pot during high school, so it wasn't out of the realm of possibility. David shook his head frantically. No, This is real, Amber. Something is after me." He let out a mad cackle. "Isn't that weird? I used to be terrified of the dark. But now the dark is kind of my haven. Isn't that crazy?" "David, you need help. This isn't normal." "I'm not insane, Amber," he insisted, but he had a deranged look in his eyes that made me seriously question this statement. Fearful for my friend's mental state, I set up for an appointment with one of the campus counsellors. David also went to his doctor as planned and was prescribed sleeping pills as well as anti-anxiety medication. For a while, things were looking up. David's colour returned and he seemed more relaxed, but everything went to hell again in January when he went to a local club to celebrate the new year. I had a lot to drink that night. Yes, I'm a heavy drinker, bite me. So my memory might not be 100%, but I have a good grasp on what happened. We were at the club with a bunch of our friends, and the place was having a disco-themed night. There was a spinning ball overhead, flashing bright multicoloured lights across the dance floor. We were all having a blast when David, out of nowhere, began screaming like a maniac. To this day, I can't get those terrible sounds out of my head. They were loud enough to compete with the music, and everyone stopped to stare. The bouncers, assuming David was high or dangerously insane, threw him out of the club, and the rest of us followed. We found David in a back alley, screaming bloody murder and banging his head against the brick wall. It's back, he screamed. "It's coming for me. It's fricking coming for me." We managed to calm down David enough to get him in the car and rush him to the hospital. He needed stitches in his forehead and was admitted to the psych ward, where he stayed for a week. He was diagnosed as schizophrenic and put on a stronger dose of medication. During therapy sessions, he would ramble on about an evil entity with glowing red eyes and a twisted face that watched him from corners of the room and was empowered by the light. He spoke about the beings that had haunted him throughout his childhood, which he now believed had been protecting him from his current tormentor. He drew pictures of what he saw, but since he requested they be destroyed, I never got to see them. Savannah did, however, but she wouldn't give me any details beyond if there's really a hell. Those are the kind of creatures that live there. Eventually, the doctors were able to get David under control and sent him home with a prescription of antipsychotic drugs and a recommendation to see a psychiatrist regularly. We all thought the terror was over, but it wasn't. It wasn't. David's behaviour became increasingly more erratic. He insisted on keeping the lights off at all times and would flip out if they were turned on. He even went so far as to cover all the windows of him and Savannah's apartment in newspapers. Savannah couldn't take it anymore and moved out. David's grades began to slip, and I saw him less and less. He stopped answering my calls and texts. I began to fear the worst. Things finally came to a head that March. David had stopped showing up to classes and work, and the police were called to check on him. When the cop sent over entered the apartment, he found the place a mess. The windows covered and the bulbs removed from all light fixtures. The officer found David huddled in the bedroom closet, muttering about something coming to kill him. When the cop shone a flashlight on him, David began screaming and attacked the poor man, breaking his nose. Backup was called, and David was taken back to the psych ward. An inspection of the apartment revealed that he had been subsiding on instant coffee and his pills. He only weighed 90 pounds. You read that right. A 5'10" man only weighing 90 pounds. I'm surprised he was still alive when they found him. After being admitted to the hospital for the second time, David lapsed into a catatonic state, occasionally muttering about how something coming for him and that his end was near. He was placed on suicide watch while the doctors tried to figure out how to treat him. On March 25, 2016, David was found dead in his room. There were holes in the walls and the mattress had been shredded. Blood was splattered everywhere, and David himself was covered in defensive wounds. He had obviously put one hell of a fight. Nobody reported hearing anything, and the autopsy report was inconclusive. To this day, his death is still an open case, a burning question with no answer. David's death shattered me. Not only had I lost my best friend, but knowing he died so frightened and alone haunts me. I believe what he saw was real, and that he was killed by a sinister entity drawn to him by light. Maybe I'm crazy, but I saw David deteriorate. I saw the terror in his eyes. I know the truth is out there, but I don't know where to look, and that's what really gets to me. I want people to know what happened to David, to understand that there are truly some unexplainable things out there. I don't want him to be remembered as some poor, insane man when he was killed by something he couldn't fight off. Now I sleep with my blinds drawn and doors shut, blocking out any traces of light. I often go for long walks at night, and I feel safest when the moon is out. After all, it isn't the dark you should fear. It is the harsh light of day that brings out the monsters.